joining us in these important conversations. I'm Yagazie Obiwani Ozalo.
And I'm Chima Onwasomba. Good morning, esteemed parliamentarians.
All right, we ask you to join us with your learned and informed opinions as we begin the conversation for today. You always come through with your opinions that enrich our conversations here on the Urban Parliament. So we ask you to do exactly that with us today. As we continue to gear up for future elections in Nigeria and particularly in Enugu State, there are developments that have made it to the news that are worthy of conversation. And today we're bringing one of those developments to you, and it borders on outdoor promotion and visual campaign guidelines for 2026 and 2027 general elections in the state. So yeah, yesterday made it to the news that the general manager of the Enugu State Structures for Signage and Advertisement Agency, ENSA, Mr. Francis Enrique, during a management meeting held at the agency's headquarters yesterday, did put out a statement regarding a fee for advertising permits for political parties and their candidates going forward into 2026 and 2027 general elections. Of course, in 2026, we're expecting the state to conduct local government elections, and in 2027, we would have the general elections. The agency, ENSA, has said that political parties and their candidates would have to pay a mandatory 150 million naira advertising permit. And of course, it generated some uproar yesterday, and we decided to bring it up for conversation on the Urban Parliament this morning to see what we can make of it, especially as we have those who are for and against that position by ENSA. So yeah, speaking during the theme of their conversation yesterday at the headquarters of ENSA, the general manager Francis Anwike said that the directive was in line with ENSA's statutory mandate to regulate outdoor advertising and to ensure orderliness, environmental aesthetics, and lawful conduct of campaign activities across the state's 17 local government areas. He explained that the 150 million naira permit would grant political parties and candidates the right to deploy campaign materials and engage in visual promotions, including rallies, banners, branded vehicles, t-shirts, caps, handbills, buntings, and street campaigns across both the local and rural areas. Quoting him directly, he says, every political party and candidate must obtain a campaign permit from ENSA before deploying any form of visual campaign or outdoor promotional materials. The statutory fee for that permit is 150 million naira payable to the Enugu State government account. And according to him, the permit is designed to prevent visual pollution, to ensure a level playing field, to maintain professional standards in outdoor advertising, and to also protect public infrastructure. Says no individual political party or support group is permitted to erect billboards or advertisement structures in any part of Enugu State without going through licensed ACON practitioners as permitted by ENSA. Parties who fail to comply with this will face legal sanctions, according to
Sorry, guys.
the general manager. All right, so it's not like this is the first time that we've seen this kind of levies put out with regards to campaigning in states. We've seen in Anambra State during the 2025 governorship election that the state set a 50 million naira permit fee for political parties to mount billboards and other outdoor materials ahead of that election in 2025. Also in Imo State, we've seen sometime that parties faced a 54 million naira fee to erect billboards during governorship polls. And the question is, does this suggest a pattern where, governments and governing parties use these signage fees to sort of like dissuade the opposition from participating fully in elections, or is it, warranted? Because, of course, the NSA boss did say that this is in order to prevent visual pollution, ensure level playing field, maintain professional standards in outdoor advertising, and to protect public infrastructure. So yeah, we want to delve into that conversation this morning, especially as we know that the ADC has, threatened to go to court regarding this particular proclamation by NSA. The ADC chairman of Iweze South and chairman of Enugu North Senatorial Zone, Comrade Ugu Izuchukwu, described the fee as draconian and an attempt to stifle the opposition. So yeah, join us in this conversation this morning as we delve into it.
This morning, we're being joined by public affairs analyst and the former chairman of Progressives Grand Alliance APGA in Enugu State, in the person of Mr. Ndubisi Enechi Onya. Good morning, Mr. Onya.
Good morning, Chairman,
Good morning, sir. And I must also state that we reached out to the NSA boss, Francis Nwike, to know if somebody from the agency could join us here this morning for better clarification. But they said maybe tomorrow, we'll get those clarifications. But we'll begin the conversation today as it is, really heating up the polity as it stands in Enugu State. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Yagazi.
All right, like I said in the introduction, this is not the first time we are seeing this kind of thing in Anambra. It's happened in Imo State, it has happened, but of course, the one that happened in Anambra last year, the fee does not match what we have in Enugu now. In Anambra, it was about 50 million naira for, erecting advertisements and all campaign materials in the public space. Now, Enugu State has taken it up a notch, 150 million naira for political parties and their candidates to put out these campaign materials. What are your thoughts about it, sir?
Well, thank you, Yagazi. For me, there's being in the political space, there's a difference between theory and practice. And I personally don't get worried when I know that things are not practicable. I'm sure that if you ask any state that has put those kind of fees, how much money they get from it, it will almost be zero. Because they are not implementable laws. So, and I would have liked the NSAS person to be here, because when I saw it, for me, it was in the realm of speculation. In fact, I still have not.
It's been confirmed.
But it's not something that is. Who is going to pay the 150? Is it the political parties? Is it the candidates? Is it the candidate running for House of Assembly, or the candidate running for House of Rep? So who or local government? Who is going to pay it? So I and those kind of being in the space, those things don't worry me, because I know they are not enforceable, not practicable. Once the time for campaign starts and it's announced, everybody's out there campaigning. So having said that, I'm not against enforcing, some sort of decency in the way billboards, the way posters, the way some of these things are being erected. But it has to be something that is, something that is enforceable, something that is applicable. If you say that they should pay 150 million, it means you don't want anybody to erect posters. How many people in Enugu who want to run for House of Assembly, for example, outside those in the parties in government will find 150 million to spend on their campaign, and they are talking about. So it's not enforceable. And it is not something for me that I am worried about. There are many more issues about our elections. There are many more issues about our polity. There are many more issues about where we are at the moment that that are conversations that I'd rather have. It's not enforceable. I don't want to say whether it is stifling the opposition, because the assumption is that if you put those fees, both the opposition and whoever is going to will have to pay it. Yes, I support some form of, because for me sometimes when you look around, the way posters are being pasted, the way billboards, there's no there's no control, there's no order. I've been in places during elections where there are specific places where you can put posters. You get? I remember once I was in Addis Ababa when they were doing an election. There are specific places where you put posters. And you can't put posters outside those places. There are specific places where you put billboards. You can't put billboards outside those places. And then each person, if you get to where the poster area is, there's a space for each candidate. And then you pay for that space, because that money you pay is what they will use to clean up the thing at the end of the day. So I'm not against some form of order. Yeah. But when we make laws that are not enforceable.
You say it's not enforceable, but the NSA boss has said that they would take legal action against anybody who goes against that. And, it only takes willpower for people to, for a government or an agency like that to decide and say, okay, we are going to make sure that this is something that is followed through in our own states, and then we would see that being actioned out.
Why I say it's not enforceable is that you have a law which everybody will break. If you make a law that everybody will break, unless you're saying you're making that law for Enugu metropolis.
It's for both the rural.
If you're saying you're making that law for Enugu metropolis, then we can have that conversation. But if you're saying you're making that law for my community, for the community in the west and north and the west and south, it's not enforceable. And even whoever is going to make that law will know it's not enforceable. The people who are running elections, they're going to paste posters.
Yeah, well,
you have to pay 150 million. No, it's not enforceable now. You know that it's not enforceable. I wish the NSA boss was here. We'll have this conversation. It's not.
I tried to get him here, and he said he would send somebody through to
but I support
clarifications, because I just want to know exactly whether, like you said, whether it's the parties or the candidate, because it was said parties and candidates in the publication that made it out to the news, parties and candidates. So it means I wanted to know if the party pays 150 million and their candidates go ahead and post their posters and wear t-shirts.
Even that, how many political parties, if you're holding an election in Enugu, how many political parties can pay 150 million? That's why it's not enforceable. Unless you're saying you don't want parties to have billboards to paste posters.
And that's the fear of those who believe that this will be stifling the opposition. If you make it, something that political parties must adhere to before their posters are put out there, and you have NSA agents enforcing it and removing banners and billboards and posters of those who have not paid, you would only see those.
That is, as we speak and as at today, if that is the only problem of the opposition, then the opposition has no problem. Because the opposition has a lot more problems than whether posters are. We haven't even gotten to the stage where posters are needed.
No,
we are the stage where the opposition needs to organize themselves to be able to be seen, to have the capacity to win elections. They haven't gotten there.
But visibility, isn't it important for the opposition?
You can't paste posters until the time for campaign starts.
There is the 2026 local government elections that will be coming up soon, and we are not too far off from that.
No, leave local government elections, please.
Why so?
Why? Local government elections are a one-party election, and you know it. We've been around this for a long time. It's a one party. It's an election for the ruling party to endorse their candidates. We know it. We can't pretend about it. So when you're talking about local government elections, you're talking about an election for the ruling party to endorse whoever. And we've seen it. It's not as if I'm saying something that is in the air.
Well, such trajectory can change.
It's not going to change with the way that the political space is run. It's not going to change with the way that the state electoral commissions are run. It's not going to change with the way that it's always a winner takes all for the people in power. And it's not going to change before a general election. There's an election next year. How is it going to change? The party in power will want to show that they are the dominant party in Enugu. So it's not going to change now. If it's going to change maybe when we have some independence in the conduct of that election. Maybe, there's a conversation around INEC conducting that election. If INEC conducts that election, then there's a possibility of opposition parties winning. Yes, but as it is, and it's not about Enugu. If you go to Anambra, where ABGA rules, ABGA wins all the House of Assembly seats. If you go to states where PDP rules, PDP wins all the House of Assembly. If you go to Kano, where ANPP rules, ANPP won all the House of NPP won all the House of Assembly seats. So, and that is the way we are. And that is why when I come out and see people complain about, for example, I see a lot of people complain about the elections in Abuja.
Yes,
this is how we have conducted elections. If you are going for elections and you do not expect that this is how elections will run, then something is wrong. If the system is going to change, we will all see that it is going to change. And so far, nothing has changed. So when we, and that is why I say the problem of the opposition is not answer.
It's bigger than that.
If the opposition is so strong that there's a possibility or everybody feels that these people can win, then answer won't be a problem. Answer won't be a problem. They will confront us at the court later. They will do their posters, confront us at the court later.
All right, Mr. Ndubisi. Now, you said that this 115 million naira is a sort of is not enforceable. So, do you see it as an outrageous fee? And what fee would it have been? It would be somehow not seem that it's let it not seem like it's an outrageous fee or something that is not enforceable.
Well, first, there's always been a law around that when you're going to paste posters, you're going to pay some fee for the people who are going to clean it up later. So it's not as if it's always been totally free. But even that small one of paying some fee, it was not enforced. You get?
When you say it wasn't enforced, is it that the parties or the candidates didn't pay for it, or that the orderliness that was needed wasn't done at the end of the day?
First is that, and that is the practice of it. There's a difference in theory and practice. First is that once campaign starts, particularly in the rural areas, the people who are going to contest first for primaries, the parties have primaries. The people who are going to contest first for primaries, including in the ruling party, are going to start putting posters out. They're going to start putting billboards out. Now, are those the people that are going to pay the 150 million? If the answer is yes, it means that you probably won't have any poster or billboard out. If the answer is no, it means that the law is for political party candidates, not for aspirants. Now, if it is for political party candidates and we are going to pay 150 million, it means that we will not have any poster or billboard out there.
How would that affect the elections if we don't have posters and billboards out there?
I'm saying we will have posters and billboards. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So that's why I say it's not enforceable.
It's
not possible for them to enforce that people won't put posters and billboards unless they pay 150
million. So you're saying it's frivolous to make this kind of announcement coming from an agency like ENSA at this point in time, If it's not enforceable, in your own opinion, I think they're just, bluffing, literally.
For me, I suspect that what they meant was maybe Enugu Metropolis. That is what I suspect that they mean. Enugu Metropolis. It's something that it is possible to enforce somehow in Enugu Metropolis, but you can't, because I'm imagining how, when we come to elections, you ask ABGA, for example, to pay 150 million before they put posters. It's not going to work. You ask Labour Party to pay 150, it's not going to work. Even APC is not going to pay the 150 million. Unless, of course, because they are the party in power, they're going to pay the money to themselves.
So you're saying the ones that happened in Anambra and Enugu, that nobody must have paid that money to put out posters, because people actually campaigned in those states for the governorship election in Anambra. It wasn't only after we saw the Labour Party posters and all whatnot. You're saying that none of them paid the 50 million as required by the state government at that time.
Even the one in Anambra, a lot of parties went to court. If they were in Imo, a lot of parties went to court. So what you create is a situation where you have court cases. Some will have a stay. Some will get a stay, which allows them to paste until the court case is heard. But at the end of the day, whether there is court or not, I'm saying that the way the political system is, the way the political parties are as of today, that it is not a law that is enforceable.
Right. People say this high fees risk violating, principles of equal access to, the electoral competition and, Nigeria's democratic framework and electoral laws and all whatnot. That it's disenfranchising those who have very minimal means to campaign during elections. But you say the opposition has bigger problems than worrying about this. The ADC chairman in Iwetiti or Iweze, beg your pardon, has decided that he's going to court regarding this Iweze Sam. What are the bigger problems for the opposition with regards to, now I've told you that the 2026 elections for local governments are coming up, but you believe it's a one-party thing, but of course we know that there are parties who are gearing up to contest, and of course the general elections coming up next year. What are the bigger issues in your own perspective?
The bigger issues for the opposition is that the opposition, as they are today, lacks any form of organization. If we use Enugu as an example, for example, and you say, and in talking about the opposition, I'm indicting myself because I'm a member of APGA.
Yes.
If you say, for example, we are 1 year to elections, who are the possible people, who are the possible candidates? 1 year to election, that we can say these are the people who used to change the people who are there as governors, as senators, as House of Rep, as House of Assembly. And we want to use these people to change them because we know that these people, when they get there, they're going to do A, B, C. That is how elections are run. It doesn't exist. That we don't have people who are in the public eye and who we know enough, to say, because this man hasn't done well, we are waiting, we are going to put this man in. And that is a challenge.
So can you do that now? Wouldn't there be, primaries within the political parties and then...
Yes, but for you to get to primary, you have to generate activities. For example, we're not campaigning, we're talking about P2B. We're talking about Atiku. Why are we talking about them? Because they try to engage the space. They try to engage the space. They try to get involved in what government is doing. They try to say, what this government is doing is not correct. This is how I think it should be done. So at least, on several areas, you can say, okay, this is P2B's opinion. This is Atiku's opinion. Even if they don't have their own, this is the way we want to do it, they have come out to say, what this man has done is not the right way. We don't have that here. So those conversations are conversations, and that is what I keep saying. We do politics of 4-year election politics. Every 4 years we emerge. Elections. After elections, everybody goes home. And that is not what our democracy envisages. Sorry. And that's not what opposition envisages. Opposition envisages that once the man is sworn in, you set up a structure to monitor what he's doing, criticize and bring alternatives. It is those alternatives, For example, if they say Enugu says we are building smart schools, and you want to criticize the smart schools with your own, and you say, no, if I was there, this is what I would have done. The people can now sit down and say, okay, between smart schools and what this man is saying, this is the one we want. So because of that, we don't want the smart school person, we want this other person. So those conversations don't go on. And those are conversations that should have gone on for 3 years. So that by the time we get to elections, we have options, because election is about options. We are thinking about how do we, these people that are there, are they doing well? If they're not doing well, who do we replace them with? But you're saying we should wait until the party primaries. And I'm saying, yes, party primaries, that means the candidates of the party. But activities between one election and the next, that means the people that the public can identify with. Because election is our problem solving. We want somebody who will come and solve our problems. So, and that is the major problem of opposition. The major problem of opposition is not the answer. If we have somebody who is sufficiently, who we engage in and who we believe can do better, answer or no answer, the elections will determine who we want.
What do you then say about the opposition crying foul in places like Abuja, where, okay, of course, one opposition party supposedly
PDP.
won one of the local government seats, right? And we have the ADC who have said they're going to court, especially in Amak, where we had a very vociferous ADC candidate who spoke a lot about what he wants to do when elected chairman of Amak. But of course, he lost that election. What do you then say in that regard? Would you say it's because they did not engage from 2023 after the elections, general elections in 2023? Would that be the reason? And when the coalition did come together, the ADC coalition, and started becoming a force, it's not been too long. What do you expect that they would have done in that short period
Well,
of time?
for me, what is more disappointing for me is that we have a new INEC chairman, and that Abuja is his first test. And then we're complaining about things we've complained about all these years. That is what is more disappointing for me. I would have thought that Abuja being his first test as a new INEC chairman, he would have done everything possible to. Abuja is a small place. If you have all these kinds of complaints in Abuja, what happens in the big election? So that is what is disappointing for me. That the INEC chairman is starting out, maybe to say on the wrong footing, because Abuja was a test case for us to see all the grammar he has been blowing, all the professorship he has been professing. Abuja was a test case, and we still saw things like, we saw pictures of mutilated result sheets. So that is what is more disappointing for me.
So for you, that's a FCT election, is sort of a litmus test as to what we may see in the 2027 election. Is that your view?
Well, you can look at it that way. You can also look at it as an opportunity for the INEC chairman to clearly, because theory and practice are different, to clearly understand how elections work. Because sometimes, you make you an INEC chairman, you come with all grammar. The first election, you realize that the thing is not even, there are a lot of things you can't control. So for me, it's an opportunity for him to now sit back and then see where the problems are, so that we don't have this kind of issues again. But being a practitioner and a practical practitioner, I know that with the way things are, with the failure to insist on electronic transfer, these issues will keep arising. We'll still have the problems that we have. With the kind of politicians we have, the winner take all attitude, very little is going to change. Abuja is a litmus test, but Abuja for me, for the new INEC chairman, is more of an opportunity for him to look at that, because before it was just theory. Now he's seen an election, and he's seen that there are a lot of things he can't control. He's not returning officer, he's not polling officer, he's not a political party. He has to find a way to stop, for example, like the FCT chairman from moving around, because the election says you don't need to move around. So those are issues that he needs to address for the elections to get the results that he wants. So for me, it's a wake-up call for him. There are issues. We still hear people lifting ballot boxes. We still hear stories about police helping to rig elections. So those are issues that he had heard of, he had never seen. They were happening under somebody else. He probably felt, okay, there was a problem with that person. When I come in, I'm going to stop it. So it's not his first elections. All those issues have manifested again. The ball is back in his court.
But even at that, even if the opposition put their house in order and they have someone that is talking for them, they will still come up with this answer. 150 million naira advertising permits. It will still sort of seem like a stumbling block, if I may put it that way, because from what you said it's not enforceable. It is you're looking at theory and practice. So even if their house is put in order, isn't this something that may hinder them from carrying out their campaigns as well? Because I believe that what we're talking about this is because, according to you, the money is outrageous, all right? And then we've seen the ADC saying they're going to court to challenge it. And how can the government impose such amount of money? It seems as a way to increase the state's IGR.
Imagine, for example, that you have a very popular candidate in Enugu who is running for governor. Eh?
Mm.
And he keeps putting on billboards, and the government keeps putting it down. What do you think will happen? What do you think will happen? It's good campaign for him, as far as I'm concerned. It is good campaign for him.
But he could face a legal action, according to what the statement put out by answer.
If you're going to run for any office in Nigeria and you're afraid of legal action, then you're not serious. If you're going to run for any office and you're afraid of legal action, there are things that, and I keep saying it, there are things that, because you want to represent the people, you have to stand firm at a point and say no, knowing that there are consequences. That's the challenge of leadership. Leadership is not about the absence of possibility of trouble. Leadership is to stand up when there's a problem. You know, it's and like I said, it's a situation where even removing the posters and removing the billboard for a popular candidate is good campaign.
How so?
That's what I'm saying. If you have a good candidate that the people like, and they are removing their posters, and it will increase what word do I use?
A sense of persecution.
Yes, a sense of persecution, which is what the opposition strive on. And a sense of persecution means that a lot more people are going to sympathize with you. You know, so it's but in reality, and that is the reality, it's not enforceable.
All right. So, from the way you've sounded about these elections, particularly the local government elections, because I was really getting interested in what will happen in the local government elections in Enugu State this time around. Now that we have an ADC coalition that is, saying that they are the next option apart from the ruling All Progressives Congress. But you seem to be very pessimistic as to what the opposition can achieve.
I'm not pessimistic. I'm realistic.
You're realistic.
Yes. And I'll tell you in advance.
Because the opposition,
I'll tell you in advance.
They challenged in Abuja, they challenged in Kano, they challenged in Rivers State. You're saying it's not obtainable down here in Enugu State.
The challenge for local government elections?
Yes.
We've challenged local government elections here. And I'll tell you how it works. How it works is that you get to the tribunal, they delay you until the time expires. Because there are time limits, and that is how it happens. Because the tribunal is also going to be put up by the state. And that is how it happens, So, and I can tell you in advance, I can tell you the result of the government election in advance. The ruling party is going to win all the chairmanship seats and all the councillorship seats. In advance, I can tell you today what the result of the election will be. And it is not because it is in Enugu. ABGA rules Anambra, it is the same thing. PDP rules Bauchi, it is the same thing. NMPP rules Kanu, it is the same thing. It is our mentality as a people. We have a winner takes all mentality. We only complain when, and you see governors complain about INEC. They went for an election and INEC rigged it. And when I see those things, I laugh. Charity begins at home. Those things you want to happen to others, lead by example. If you want the INEC to be free and fair, let the State Electoral Commission be free and fair. And that is why at the end of the day, you have very little sympathy from a lot of us.
Then why are we going to spend all the amount of money that is being budgeted for elections if the elections are already won and lost before they happen? That's one other big question. And then you say it's the people. The people have a winner takes all mentality. I mean the
politicians.
Voters.
I'm talking about the politicians.
Okay, the politicians.
Yes, the politicians. It's win at all costs. Winner takes all. So they do everything to win. And unfortunately, that is where we are.
And they're not getting out of there anytime soon. That's
nobody gets out of anything without pressure.
How do you encourage people to vote? Because in Abuja they were complaining about voter apathy, right? In the elections, less than 5% of those who registered turned out to vote in that election. Then how do you encourage people who are listening to us on a daily basis, who believe that Nigeria has to change, and the beginning of that change is through the electoral process, through having elections and leaders who are the people's choice getting into those offices that are really important? How then do we...
What you have just described is democracy. The only thing is that our democracy does not work. And it doesn't work not because there's a problem with our democracy. It works because the people who are in charge of making the democracy work don't want it to work. And I'll give you an example. Local government elections, INEC, police. There's no election that people don't complain about police helping one party. There's no election people don't complain about INEC helping one party. You know? So those are the people who have an interest in making sure the elections work. Do they make sure the elections work? The answer is no. You had stories about the FCP minister going around to monitor elections. He had no power to do that. He is not allowed to move around during elections. But he moved around and nothing has happened. So when you talk about encouraging people to go and vote, getting people to go and vote, there are basic things. In 2023, a lot of people went out to vote. What you need to encourage people to go and vote, give them the feeling that their vote will count. That is what you need to encourage people. That is what you need to encourage people. Let the people feel that their vote will count, and then they'll go and vote. But that is not where we are. We politicize everything. At the end of the day, we are all victims. Look at the people in ADC who are complaining. 8 years ago, they were on the other side listening to the, sneering at the complaints of other people. It will also happen to the people here. The people who are rejoicing today will complain as long as things don't work properly. And that is how these kind of systems work. When you're on the receiving end, you have no moral justification to complain too much, because when you were there, you didn't do better.
So if we have that winner takes all mentality, and the party who is in power can do whatever they want, it means that with what you've said, even though you've said that, it means that if we have a party that wants to enforce it, they can go ahead no matter how much of an impunity you think that is, they can go ahead and enforce those things. The FCT minister you talked about moved around with impunity in Abuja and nothing happens. So that means that impunity wins anytime in
well, that is why we are having this conversation, because for a long time impunity has won. That's why we have this conversation. So if things were working well, we wouldn't need to have this conversation.
So is the impunity more on the people or the INEC?
I don't understand. More on the people how?
You're talking about the impunity that we're witnessing in our elections. Is it more on the people or is it more on the commission?
The commission is manned by people, and I said it because every time we come here, we talk about leadership. Leadership matters. A lot of times, it is what the leader does that filters down to the rest. That is why we always talk about leading by example. Those things you don't want others to do, don't do it. But that is not what exists. The bigger challenge we have is the challenge of leadership. We have people in authority who do not believe, because there can't be leadership without patriotism. And patriotism means that you believe more in you believe more in the interest of the country, for example, or the state, than in your own personal interest. Once it is not there, every other thing has a K-leg. So, sorry, the challenge we have is a challenge of leadership.
Okay.
Whether it is the police, it's a challenge of leadership. The rank and file follow the direction they think the leader is showing.
All right, I think we found ourselves in a conundrum as a country. If this is it, the problem of leadership is our problem as a nation, and then the process by which we select those who get into positions of leadership is also marred by irregularities and impunity and all whatnot. Then how do we pull ourselves out of this rabbit hole? That's the big question, and I don't see any way. I literally
the challenge for me.
Yeah.
The challenge for me, and I say it always, is that you can't give what you don't have. The political parties are not democratic in the way they select their leadership. The political parties are not democratic in the way they select their candidates. So when you come out and then expect those political parties who are not democratic within their parties to come out and become democratic in the bigger space, it becomes a problem. You can't give what you don't have.
Okay.
And that is why I keep saying that the foundation of our democracy are the political parties. If the political parties don't work, our democracy the way we want it is not going to work.
All right, so let's go for a news break. When we return, we'll turn this conversation over to parliamentarians. We've built from the answer order into so many other things, the opposition. But yeah, we'll come back and get your views on this conversation this morning. Do stay tuned.
I need to use my phone.
Of the southeast to good morning and welcome. The Enugu State Structures for Signage and Advertisement Agency (ENSA) has set a mandatory 150 million naira advertisement permit fee for political parties and candidates ahead of the 2026 and 2027 elections. Youth innovators over the weekend clinched investment grants ranging from $2,500 to $5,000 at the maiden edition of the state-backed Enugu Campus Hackathon, an initiative aimed at positioning Enugu as a leading hub for youth-driven digital enterprise and venture creation. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria (FAN) has confirmed that airspace at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport Terminal 1 has reopened following a fire outbreak yesterday. President Bola Tinubu hosted the state governors yesterday evening for a Ramadan iftar dinner at the presidential villa in Abuja. President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to establishing state police as a key measure to tackle insecurity across Nigeria. In sports, Nigerian footballer Victor Osimhen has handed Galatasaray a timely boost after returning to training ahead of the club's clash with Juventus. On entertainment, former Big Brother Niger housemate Cross Okonkwo has officially married his fiancée in a civil ceremony held yesterday, February 23rd, at the Federal Ministry of Interior in Lagos State. You're up to the minute in 94.5 seconds. I am Choma Onwasomba.
Been looking at the Enugu State Structures for Signage and Advertisement Agencies order with regards to 150 million naira advertising permit for political parties and their candidates going forward into the elections that would have in 2026 local government elections, and then of course the general elections that would happen in 2027. Reactions have trailed it. We're trying to understand whether or not you view this as a good move by the state government in ensuring that there is a prevention of visual pollution and level playing field for everyone and maintaining professional standards in outdoor advertising and protecting public infrastructure, or you see it as an affront on the opposition and a stifling of their visibility in elections to come? What are your thoughts? 0916 0005945.
Or 0916 0004945. Sending messages to our WhatsApp line. It's 09128 945 945. Hello.
Good morning. Yes, we can hear you, Amos.
Go ahead, Amos.
Answer is and counterproductive at the same time. Because for me, I think this issue is diversionary. The people of Enugu say they deserve more than this diversionary of a thing, because people are looking for a governance, okay, rather than directing people's interest. What I'm trying to say is that this 150 million naira is outrageous. And in a democracy where you expect people to be accountable to the people who elect them, and you expect them to pay 150 million naira as an individual, as a party, I think the authorities they should look into it. Because I don't see the reason why people should be stifled in this way. Understand me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think things are good in this country. The people in authority are no longer afraid of the people that they are leading. And we are just inviting anarchy in the land. We are calling for, from the breakdown of law and order. And let me tell you something. Time is coming when the governor will come on the street and people will start throwing stone on him.
Yeah. All right. We don't encourage pelting anybody, no matter who they are, because you disagree with them or their policies, they must. But regardless, keep the calls coming. 0916 0005945 or 0916 0004945. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Yes, so does say good morning to you. I did. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
All right, so does it. Thank you for joining us. So does it.
Hello, good morning. Yes, your name and where you're calling us from. Go ahead.
Any place where there is no a kind of deterrent for wrongdoing, people tend to follow that path. I could remember The opposition parties in Anambra State complained of this same issue, and nothing was done until the election came and went. The only problem we're having in this country is that people are not being punished for doing wrong. Why would the state government saying people should pay 150 million for just billboard? What about the campaign fund? Is there no cap for campaign fund? Is that not bigger than even the campaign fund meant for House of Assembly people? Or won't House of Assembly people pay their billboards? The governor should be called to order. Anybody that will call him to order should do that as fast as possible. This is a way of pushing out all the whole opposition so that people of Enugu will have no choice other than, if I have 150 million, what am I still waiting for? So I will now come and put in just billboards. They've not talked about the cost of going around the whole world for campaign. They've not talked about the branding your cars. They've not talked about the little things you do to incite the people to come out. My name is Saremi from Abani.
All right, so Remy, hello, good morning.
0916 005 945 or 0916 004 945. Hello, good morning. Yes,
Good morning, sir.
Again.
Good morning, sir.
Honestly, my name is Chukwemeka Makabai, calling from each time we listen to the things that tend to the so-called leaders, if you go and meet a lot of, they will tell you that they don't want to and that's to them what enter they start.
Hello?
Yes. And people say, yes,
We're struggling to hear you, sir. I think there is a problem with the connection. Hello? Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, the guest in the studio, and good morning.
Good morning.
good morning.
It is really unfortunate in Enugu that we are not able to organize ourselves as an opposition to be able to do the needful, because Enugu State is in very turmoil now because of what is happening. It's a piece of an iceberg because a lot of things is coming. But despite that, the present administration is opposition intolerant. Some people have been arrested and put in custody because of what they said against the government, or what they have trying to prove that the government is lying against us. Now you see, in your houses in the village now, they are going to be taxing it. Remember, for you to be a chieftaincy title, that is your, you don't want to give you a chieftaincy title, you have to pay 5,000. Remember. So our administration is trying to stifle everybody and milk everybody from it. So the small thing that even help for you to pick a banner position shows that he doesn't want any opposition. And all this thing that he's doing, that he can succeed, and he said that he's a Democrat. He was elected as a Democrat. And you cannot give people the playing ground for them to be able to do the same opposition. Remember that it's opposition that made him to move into APC. But Chennai was a powerhouse driving every opposition in Enugu then, until they come with the saga of forgery certificate and the rest of them. Now they are trying to suppress it, and you see what is going on now. They have had APC content, and the same thing that we are talking about is happening. But the problem I'm having is that opposition members in Enugu, many of them are not worthy to be trusted because they will collect from A and go and collect from B, and this is not how we're going to restructure and do everything we're supposed to do. Because I think that opposition should be paid in so many areas, but not when you collect from here, you collect from here. Because opposition will help you to know that this thing that you are doing is wrong, then you can go and do it right. Like we are saying, a lot of small schools that are in Enugu now, the place that blew last time, almost all of them, and they are in the social media. So we need to organize ourselves as an opposition to do better, so that we can stop this thing that is coming in Enugu. And lastly, if we allow Umba to win the second time, Enugu can
Language, all right. 0916 005 945. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Yes, we can hear you now. Good morning.
all these things we talk about okay, in the end, it showed up because I was fully revolutionary everything. It's not even the time now, but because these people, like what is talking now, we are forgetting a lot of things about this thing now.
All right, good morning to you. Let's go for a commercial break. We'll be right back.
4.5 Urban Radio.
You could also subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's at Urban Radio 94.5 FM, and you could go there and watch us live. 0916 0005945. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, Wonders.
Some people have been arrested because of what they said. I always say it in this radio station, but some people don't want to believe me. FS also said, before you take any title in your village, you will pay 500,000 going to state pockets. Now, we the traditional people has been summoned to buy certificates, 200,000 naira, or you will be arrested. No matter what you are doing, whether native doctor, tradition, SNY, herbalist, you must buy it. I have bought my own, 200,000 naira. So somebody that is cooking medicine, just herbal to give people, how do you expect her? And majority of them are old women, young ladies, to cough out 200,000 just for certificates. So sometimes all these things, it's really unfair. These are just in order to make money, making money from the people. The tax that others are paying, even in the market and all that, even the transporters are not even enough. Give account of what you collect from government. We always keep moving code from this Enugu. Nobody have ever tell us anything about that code. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Wonders, for calling in 0916 005 945. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Go ahead, Gabriel.
Due respect to two of you, Nigeria has become what it's supposed to be. Yes. Odigo Kogadi. Where are we going from here? The problem of a political scenario is not only in Enugu State. It transverse throughout the southeast state of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, including 774 local government areas in Nigeria.
Hello. Hello, Gabriel. Are you there? Okay. 0916 005 945. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Calling from Manchester.
Go.
Nigeria is like this today because that is the way we are. The majority of people in Nigeria, that is the way we are. When people are talking about the country, they say the country is bad, the country, as if the country is being run by aliens. Nigeria is like this today because the way the majority of Nigeria, that is the way we are. If we are opposition today, we begin to talk good. If we are in the field playing, the same thing happens. I don't believe in Satan. I don't believe in that. There is nothing like Satan. We are just the way we are, and that's why the country is like this. That's just a simple thing there. Because if people are opposing evil, I don't think evil will triumph. It's just because people accept it, because if you favor them today, those are in government today, anybody complaining? Nobody's complaining. But if power shifts, just the way you see Atiku, Elfa, and the rest of them now in ADC, trying to play to the guy as if when they are in power, they are better off. If people begin to change, the country will change. Because it's not going to change while we sit down complaining. It's not going to change. Everybody has to change his attitude, the way we behave, the way we see things, and the way we accept things. That's just the simple truth there. Thank you for picking my call.
All right. Thank you for calling in, sir. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yagazi.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chief.
Good
I greet you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Great you, sir.
My name is Evangelist Joseph.
Welcome.
I don't know, when I hear that news about the 150 million, I didn't know whether I should laugh or cry. But NWC, you see what your fellow NWC is doing to us. It's called NWCnomics. Oh, sorry, let me leave you because you are still. It's called Mbanomics. It's Mba's economic theory. NWC, do you know that if I like I do, I like what you are doing now, and I nominate you for chieftaincy in my community, do you know you are going to go and pay 510,000 naira to Enugu State government for my community to give you chieftaincy title, just to appreciate what you are doing? 510,000. The 10,000 is for the certificate of chieftaincy, and then the 500,000. That's how we get the 1.6 trillion for Enugu people. Their blood is running on the street because somebody wants to force match us into a future. You bring my future today and you expect me to enjoy. What do I look for to Unu? Nothing, since the future is here. And like you have said, it's just, and you know, sometimes when they couch some of this English language, they say they want to use it to prevent pollution and to create a level playing ground. Wonderful. 150 million will make. Just imagine if 18 parties pays 150 million because they want to contest the election. That's a level playing ground, I mean. And then if I now pay 150 million, then there will be no pollution. They are talking to children. Somebody will just open his mouth and say what he likes. If you have land somewhere and you cannot pay 8 million, probably for a land you bought for 100,000, you lose the land. That's some economics. So I am not surprised as what it is happening. Somebody who allegedly bought the governorship. So he's buying every other thing. Right. Everything has to be bought.
All right. Evangelist Joseph Abu. Hello, good morning.
Hello, are you there? Yes, good morning.
In the studio. See my leader. Like I said, the truth will still remain. You know, paying 150 million is not the major problem. After paying this money, can then allow the people to vote who they have in mind to vote for? Like I said, you know that even if political parties don't post their posters, Enugu people will know who they will vote for. Let's not tell the truth. You see this poster of 13. If I elect judiciary can give us credible election, or get without poster, those that don't even have poster to win election. In a city where people are crying, in a country where people are going through hell to make the living. You know, even if see, bring a man who cannot see now to go and cast vote, he will just tell you, please, I don't want to cast for so person, I don't want to cast for so person. During the 2023 election, I saw it in my own unit. The old women will come. They will tell you, they will show them without even seeing the person's posters on the road. The problem we have in this country, in fact, people are talking about opposition, but we the people of Enugu, we the professionals, we are the opposition. Political parties are against the people. MPs are against the people. We, the opposition, we have in Enugu here. If the leadership is good for you, you should go ahead and sleep in your house and feel comfortable. If the leadership is not good for you, go ahead and first of all get your PVC, that is your weapon. Then, campaign for others, talk to others, tell them the reason why they should vote, tell them the reason why they should cast their vote to social person, tell them the reason they should not cast their vote to social person. Not that you will be talking, no protest, no agitation, the day of election, some of them will not come out. So, I don't really care about the post. I know what I will vote for.
All right. Thank you for calling me 0916 0005945 or 0916 0005945. Let's take this last call. Hello, good morning. Yes, good morning. Good morning, Babotu.
Yes. See, I supported what the governor do. Why? People on labor, they pick tickets from the bill. That's nothing like opposition. They pick the House of Assembly, House of Representatives, even House of Senate. What they do is try to the ruling party. That means it is good for our government of Enugu State to put that so that if you are coming
All right,
That's what
Babotu.
the democracy in this way country. That is easy. This is that man that can propose. Then this, that your guest, my friend. When he came back, I have to visit him. We have something to discuss privately. Okay, good morning.
Good morning,
Morning,
Babotu.
Babut.
I will take a messages here on our WhatsApp line. Good morning, Urban Radio. I think this signage law is an act of wickedness on the part of the state government. I say this very undemocratic. What is really happening to our democracy today? The players are trying to stop, or the players are trying to stop the opposition from campaigning. The APC government in Enugu State should take things easy. This is very bad and should be reversed. Cyril COB from MNM. More messages here on our WhatsApp line. Good morning. On this issue on signage fees, I want to ask if the same thing applies to advanced democracies. Who is sure that the party in government is complying with such? It is definitely a way of stifling the opposition. Okay. This one says the system of election in Nigerian politics seems to be more retrospective rather than going forward. And okay, professionally, I believe we need to change our election scheme and learn how to introduce a new electoral template that will stand. Have a blessed day. Charles will text them from American Go. Okay. Good morning, Yagaze Chama and your guest in the studio. I'm Obaji from Okana. In Nigeria, the government in power is putting up all instruments to strangulate, obnoxious instruments to strangulate all other opposition parties with impunity. All the government apparatus has and will continue to compromise in all the election in Nigeria as far as this present government is concerned. My take with the meeting the federal government had with governors is just to tell them to use what they have to get what they want in all future elections without fear. Because all power is at the House of Rock. I foresee a situation where this government will use the Senate to change the items in the Constitution to penetrate their stay. All right. This one says has a lot of messages. Okay, this one says if Peter Mba returns as a governor in 2027, our future will disappear. That's Joseph from Enugu. Good morning.
All right, we can squeeze in just one or two more calls, then we'll get back to our guests quickly and wrap up the conversation. 0916 0005945 or 0916 0004945. Good morning. Good morning, sir.
That's calling from 99.
Welcome, Bessie.
For the fact na onye nwụrụ anwụ nọ na mortuary na ụgwọ tax in this Enugu state, we should not expect no less than even every other thing. Ebe ma ọkụkọ gị na-azụ na be nna gị bụ na ọkụkọ ahụ ahụ ancha niile ga-afụ tax. Because I don't see the reason why that this APC administration don't want every other party to come out. Why are you giving person 150 million for what? Not to exercise his own liberty. It's very bad. What are we doing to this country? That we don't want, it's just only one party system that we want in this country. For what? The country belongs to one people. When Imba was in a PDP, did he do this kind of thing? But you have joined the APC now and have joined the bandwagon to intimidate others. You not intimidate him. And this is what his government is doing to others, so that the opposition party will not even get that privilege around to that urban area, not in the village, not even this 9 mile that I am. Because you can't tell somebody that you do not do that kind of thing. It's not even possible.
All right. We'll get back to our guest. Stand to be seen in Kenya. Listen to the callers. A lot of them very emotional about this. I try to see if we can be very objective about this particular issue, right? And how the Enugu State signage agency is looking at it, and what they have said is their reasons towards imposing this 150 million. Yours is that you don't even believe it, but it's impossible. And I think Basi, the last caller, also did affirm what she said, saying that it can't happen in Nightmare where he is, or else it's in the very modern urban areas. Let's wrap up this conversation at this point. The opposition are very suspicious of the ruling party. Is that suspicion really like granted? Is it something that is worth having? Because there's this feel about those who support the opposition and the opposition parties themselves, saying that any move that the ruling party makes, or that agencies in a state like Enugu, for instance, where we have the APC as the ruling party, makes is directed by the governor. It's not even independent thought of the agency themselves. Is this something that you're also buying into?
Well, first, like I said, and I keep saying it, as long as we have the winner take all attitude, where and the win at all cost attitude, we're going to be where we are. But like I said, my problem with the opposition is that there's no traction in the opposition, and democracy presupposes that there should be alternatives. That's why if you have a one-party system, you necessarily don't call it democracy. Democracy, in the real sense, requires that the voter must have an alternative. That's why we go to vote. Even if I want a system, we can vote yes or no. If you vote no, the thing changes. So there is a reason why we have multiple parties, and that reason is that we need to give the voters a choice. Okay. So the problem of the opposition, like I said, I don't worry about things like this because I know they're not enforceable. I know they're not enforceable, and I will encourage anybody in the state who wants to run for election to, don't be discouraged by these kind of things. The challenge I also have is that a lot of governments measure their performance by how much money they raise, and I keep saying it here. Government is not a business. Government is a social, even if it is a social business, the business of satisfying the needs of the people. So once we start measuring our performance by how much money we raise, once we start looking at agencies of government who are supposed to provide social services and measure their performance by how much money they make, we'll get ourselves into this conundrum that we have now. So the issues are varied. The issues are, it starts from how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive the people we rule, how we measure when government agencies are doing well. Obviously, we measure when government agencies are doing well by how much money they raise. Where are they going to raise this money from? It's from all of us. So when you hear these complaints about payments for this, payments for that, it is because the government measures its success by how much money they raise. And when you measure yourself by how much money you raise, then your agencies are also measured by how much money they raise. So they do all kinds of things to raise money. And that is a problem for me. Government is a social service. Government, if you raise 100 billion and the people can have water to drink, the people can go to school, you have done nothing. So everything comes down, and that's why I say everything comes around to leadership. What is it that we want to achieve as a people? Somebody called and said, we're where we are because of the things, and I've said it here. Everything we do is what has brought us to where we are, individually, collectively. And a government without patriotism means that your objective, every government's objective is to improve the lives of as many people as possible. Once that is not your objective, then you're not a government. So for me, ENSA can write whatever they like. I know it is not enforceable. I've been participating in elections for long. It is not enforceable. Even a small one of what you pay, the little you pay to ensure that to clean up when posters, they can't collect it, and they are talking about collecting 150 million from political parties. And I can tell you in advance that no political party in Enugu, as presently considered, can pay 150 million to ENSA. None, except probably the APC. And the only reason why they can pay is that they are the government in power. So it's not something that worries me as a person, because, like I said, what worries me more is that the democracy does better when the opposition is active, and the opposition in Enugu is not active. That is what worries me more. So we need to sit down, put our house in order first, and don't worry about ENSA. If the opposition is active, the government sits up. A lot of the things the people are complaining about, people call and complain about this tax, that tax. It is the opposition that should be fighting it. It's the opposition that should be going to court to say, no, we don't agree with this.
Well, we have someone from the ADC saying you challenge this particular advertisement fee in court.
Yes, because the advertisement is for political parties. That's why he's challenging it. Has he challenged the taxes that people complain about? Has he challenged the levies that people complain? Somebody has called and talked about chieftaincy titles. Chieftaincy, what you pay to get chieftaincy titles. Has he challenged it? So the only reason he's challenging it is that it has now come into his house. They are not asking political parties to pay. That's why. But I'm saying that the opposition, a lot of the things people complain about, because if your opposition that is sensitive, your interest is to get as many people to your side as possible. So when people are complaining about something, it's an opportunity for the opposition to move in and take charge. And that is what is missing. Enugu has a lot of opportunity for the opposition to move in and take charge. Because the issue of overtaxation, the issue of over emphasis on money has been there from day one. But it is the people that are shouting. The opposition parties are not talking about it. So, and that is my challenge. Those are bigger issues for me. I'm not going to worry about an issue I know cannot be enforced.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, sir. On the program, you say it cannot be enforced. We'll wait and we'll see. And sounds serious about this particular issue. And they say they will take legal actions against parties who do not comply or candidates who do not comply. We'll see how all of that pans out. But thank you for your views on the program this morning, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ndubisi Enechionye, Public Affairs Analyst and the former Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, All Progressives Grand Alliance in the state. Yeah, there are progressives, just like Soludo had pointed out. Thank you so much, Mr. Ndubisi Enechionye. We'll see that in 2027. Though. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Ndubisi Enechionye, for your insights this morning. And just like you pointed out, that leadership with patriotism is what should be playing out in our politics, and governance should also precede politics. Thank you so much for insightful analysis, and to our parliamentarians, thank you for your active participation. We'll be here tomorrow 9 a.m. Until then, keep it house locked to 94.5 Urban Radio Enugu. I am Choma Omasonga.
I'm Yagazi Obiwani. Good morning.
Good morning.